Hey guys, I got this new work sharpener, and I wanted to do a quick review on what I think about it. I've used it a little bit to sharpen some of the knives around the house, and I wanted to talk about what I like and don't like, and just what some of the components are that are included with the purchase. Now, these knife sharpener systems are kind of expensive in my opinion, but depending on how much you need to have sharp knives, it may be worth it rather than trying to use just a grinder or something like that. So I'm going to talk about what I found with this device. I have another video talking about the Warthog V-Shape Extreme, which I actually bought before I bought this one because I was looking for a little bit different of a sharpening option than what I got with the Warthog. Although, if you watch the other video, you'll see that I also like that one for its own purposes. I just have different purposes for this one. So here we go. First of all, it comes in this box. As you can see, the box is actually, fairly small. This particular model is the WSB-CHPAJ. Not to be confused with the WSB-CHPAG. No, I'm just kidding. I made that up. But that's the model that we're talking about. This is a standing knife sharpening system with a clamp and an arm that swings, and it has an adjustable stone built into the arm. So these are the three main components that are in the box. There's some paperwork, instructions, and whatnot, some advertising, but this is the basics. And I will say that one thing that this does not have is a carrying case of any sort. So I've actually been storing it inside the box. The box is a pretty decent box, I mean, considering it's just cardboard, but it is heavy duty, so it keeps this device protected when I'm not using it. So the way that this works is you have your sharpening system here. This is just a base. There's nothing to it. It's got rubber feet on it to keep it from moving, but you just clip the sharpening system into it. Apparently you do it from the front. And then you've got this arm. Now, I've used this thing a few times just to make sure I knew how it worked and I could talk logically about what I like and don't like about it. But it basically has a 320 stone. You rotate it and you've got your 600, and then you rotate it again and you've got this very fine ceramic flat and some dirt, but it's very soft or very smooth. And so the way that this works is you can put this rod up into here, and it clicks in, but not in a locking sense. It's actually a magnet up in here that holds it in, but it's a pretty strong magnet, so it's not, I have not experienced it falling out as I'm sharpening anything. So that is that. Let's go to, we'll say 320 for starters. Now you've got a very adjustable angle here. Whatever you rotate it to, that's what it goes to. If you need to make a fine adjustment, you can do that. So if you start at like 20 and you say that 20 is not what you're looking for, you can go down to 19. These side markers here are the increments between. So you've got 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15. It's a nice little system. It's adjustable, and once it's there, it holds pretty good. So I had been using 20 on the last knife that I sharpened. So what I like, that this part actually comes off. So I don't have to be trying to adjust things while holding it, while this is in the base, although I can. if that's how you prefer to do it, but I like to just take it off, pop it out, and then I can hold it upright. It has these little guide sleeves here that you put your blade in, and then you hold it down and you tighten it up, and then it's just like that. It's that simple. So you can put it in into the slider, and if you want to, there's a button on the back that lets you push it in, and then it lets you swing this around. So you don't have to actually remove the whole thing if you don't want to. So once you have everything set up, you put your arm in here, the sliding arm, and then this slides up and down. It has these little rubber things so you can adjust so you don't go too high where you fall off the blade. As you can see, I have a little bit of give here, but it's nice. So I have this on 20. I just go through, sharpen it a little bit, and get all the way to the edge. You don't really have to push down, you're really just sliding the stone along. What I really like about this, or one thing that I like about it, is once you get it to a sharpness that is smooth, in correlation with the stone you're using, you can actually feel that it's done. It's not as jittery, it just kind of flows over the blade, and that is good for somebody like me who's not real good at sharpening things. I can kind of tell just by the feel how we're doing. So once you get one side done, then you can rotate it. You do the other side. Keep your hands away from the blade. Now I'm trying not to. Maybe in the video it looks like I'm going straight up, but I'm trying to go up and over a little bit, because it just, if you don't want to go straight up because it's a little more aggressive that way, you want to kind of go to the side. And I apologize if it doesn't look like that's what I'm doing in the video, or I'm just simply not doing it. So that's at 300. Now you don't have to go too crazy with the 600 because it's fairly close. And then we rotate up and over. Now, as you can see, I'm actually doing this with one hand. The base is sturdy enough that I don't feel the need to hold it. Out of habit, I kind of hold the handle of the pocket knife here, but I don't really have to. It's sturdy enough that it'll work just fine. So I'm starting to feel that I'm getting less resistance as I'm doing this, which tells me that it's time to move on to the next level. So I'm going to go up to the very fine ceramic stone. And the first couple strokes you can feel some resistance, but then it doesn't take long at all, and it feels very smooth, like I'm polishing it. And then I'm gonna rotate. I do recommend using two hands when you rotate it, of course. And there it is. I think that's pretty good. So I'm gonna just, oh, sorry. I'm going to release the knife. Just take a look at it. It's feeling pretty sharp. I don't have one of those fancy blade sharpness testers where you break the piece of floss, so I'm not going to pretend whether or not the thing is super sharp compared to just okay. But for this knife and what I use it for, I can just tell by feeling it. It feels pretty sharp. I think we're good. All right, so let's talk about what I like about this device. Number one, it comes with 3 different grits that you can use to sharpen your blade. I like that they're built into one, so I can just rotate between them. I don't need to have 3 different stones on 3 different rods or anything like that. I mean, this whole thing is basically 3 parts, and it's something that I can just leave on my workbench, and it's small, but it's ready to go when I need it. I also like that this is very adjustable. If I have a knife that's a little bit off and I'm not getting one of those standard angles, I can adjust it, fine tune it, and get it to be back to what it originally was. And I really appreciate that. I do find that, you know, especially with the kitchen knives, I don't have a set of kitchen knives. It's just knives that I've collected based on what I think I need, and they're from different companies and they all have different angles, and I find that sharpening them has always been a pain because there's so many different angles, and some of them are serrated and others aren't. So the serrated side, obviously, you're not going to be able to sharpen easily, but you can sharpen a serrated, the non-serrated side, you can sharpen with this, which is nice. I also like that it feels like I could drop this thing and it would bounce. I don't think it would break. There's not a whole lot of parts that could break off. There's really, aside from this, there's no moving parts. I mean, this goes up and down, and this thing rotates, but I'm presuming that I could just buy a new housing for this if I needed to, and if this, I don't really even know how this would really break, even if I dropped it. I mean, it's possible that this housing could break or crack, but I think that this is very unlikely to break, so I'm not too concerned about it, I guess is my point. I like that this thing is adjustable. I can get really tight on this if I want to. It's easy to crank down on it. I like that you can remove it. I mean, you can see it's got some magnets in here to hold it in. So if I've got the need to pull it out, I have it. And then, of course, if I don't want to pull the whole thing out to rotate it, I just push the button on the back, and then it rotates, clicks in. It has no give, so the angle that this is set at, I'm confident that's the angle the blade is getting. This really is solidly built. So what I don't necessarily care for about this, and this is just simple stuff, it would be nice if it had some sort of storage container. It comes in a box. The box is fine, but it's one of those things that I'm just going to leave it on my workbench, and it's probably going to be out for the rest of its life. So storage container, probably not such a big deal. I don't think that I would really use this device for sharpening in the field. It's because of the nature of how it works, and just the fact that you have to clamp this thing in like this. I feel like I would easily get it all gunked up if I was using it to just do a quick couple passes while I'm in the middle of butchering a cow or something. So I wouldn't bring this in the field with me, and I also kind of feel like maybe if I threw it in the back of my truck or something, it might get broken. Even though I said that there's not a lot that I think could get broken on here, I would be pretty disappointed if like this got bent and I couldn't get it straight again. So it's not something I'm gonna bring out in the field with me. But at the same time, because it's got such a fine tuning grit on it, I really would primarily use this for my kitchen knives, and I don't really need to take those out in the field. So as long as I can keep this knife sharp and a couple of my boning knives, I think that the other device that I reviewed is what I would bring out in the field with me. I also don't necessarily like the price. It is a little expensive. I can't recall how much I paid for it off the top of my head. I think it was around $70, and I don't know. Just seems like a lot for a knife sharpener, although there are cheaper options if you're skilled at sharpening knives, and since I'm not skilled, I guess I'm paying for that. This thing gives me all the angles, and I really can't complain about how easy it is to use. So if you do a little bit of comparative shopping, you could probably buy a 600 grit sharpening stone for $15. And if you know how to use it, then that's a good investment for you. But I don't, and I probably will never be skilled at it. So I'd rather just use a machine that does the thinking for me. So I complain about the price, but at the same time, it's worth it if you're sharpening a lot. And I do have to sharpen a lot of knives just doing what I do on the farm. And if I have to go to a friend's house to help him out, I have a lot of knives that I use. So I have to have something that keeps them sharp, because everybody knows a dull knife is dangerous. So I guess the question is, would I buy this again? I think the answer is yes. I think this is a good device. It's a good tool. It does do a good job sharpening blades, and I like how precise you can get. So yeah, if it broke, if I ran it over with my truck, I would probably dish out another $70, buy it again. So guys, I hope that this video was helpful. I hope you learned something about this. If you were thinking about getting a sharpener, or if you were looking at this one particularly, I hope that what I've told you is helpful in your decision making. I do have a link to this in the description of this video, and it's on Amazon. So if you click on that link, I do get a small commission. I mean, it's a tiny commission, but it does help me to be able to pay for this video. And it also gives me an idea of what people are interested in, so that I can try out other types of products and hopefully come out with some videos that are helpful to people. I encourage you to also subscribe to my channel. I do all kinds of different videos. I have done a couple of review videos, but I also do videos about things that I'm working on around my farm. So I encourage you to come back and see what I'm working on, and hopefully they'll be entertaining, and they'll also help you to learn something. Because that's my goal, is to teach people about whatever it is that I'm experimenting with. It doesn't mean I'm an expert on anything, but I certainly like to learn as I go. And if I can share that mentality and that knowledge with other people, then I think that that's definitely worth it. So if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate it. I appreciate your commitment, and I hope that you'll return for some of my future videos. All right. Thanks, guys.